You have it outside. Anyone going on outside? Just outside. Going on. On the switches outside. Yeah, guys, the notes, coming to the notes. I just posted up the notes already in the Google Classroom. You can download. And you too, offline students also. You can just take it up from there. I already posted the notes in the Google Classroom. It's already available. I updated, yeah, that's all. You'll find it with the same name only. Okay, just I updated the notes. Don't again think like another copy will be there. No, I removed the old one, I posted the new one. That's all. So the notes is already posted in the Google Classroom, okay? Fine. So fine. So last day, we have been talking on, yeah, how to create a web form, right? Yeah, two options I shown you. One is by using Notepad, simple code. Second one, Visual Studio. When you create a web form with a Visual Studio, the very important thing is you don't require to write any code. Starting, the project comes with a form, right? Starting, the project comes with a form now. What is the name? Web form 1. It comes with a web form. And another thing I said to you, if you are working with Visual Studio, you'll be having two places to work with. Design view, code view. What is design view? Design view is the place where you can just go for designing your particular UI by using the drag and drop feature. You can have a drag and drop feature. You can utilize the drag and drop feature and design the UI. So that is the design view. Second option, code view. What is this code view? So basically code view is the place where you're required to write all the business logic. See, once you design a UI, no use now. I created a registration form. Very beautifully, well colored, all the things, but did not write any logic. What is the use of it? Yes or not? So after that, you need to enter the values. When you're entering the values, if any wrong data entered, should be restricted. When you click on the register button, the data should be saved. When you click on the reset button, everything should be cleared. All these functionalities should be implemented. We call that as business logic. We call all that functionality as business logic. So if at all you just wanted to apply the business logic is implemented where? In the code view. Okay, how to go to code view? By default, it will show you design view. To go to code view, what did they say? Right click and you'll find an option called view code. Select that, it will take to the code view. Okay, now right click on the design view. You'll be showing an option called view code, takes to the code view. And remember, code view is again defined on two files. One is .cs, one is designer.cs. One is .cs, second one, what .cs? Array, it is form1, form1.cs, it is form2, form2.cs. That's why I'm saying .cs. Second one, .designer.cs. It is form1, form1.designer.cs, otherwise form2.designer.cs, like this. And we write code in which file? .cs or .designer.cs? Which file? .cs. Who writes code in designer.cs? Visual Studio writes the code based on my design code, my design on design view. Based on my design on the design view. I will design on design view. Studio will write the corresponding code for you in the designer.cs file. Can I edit the designer.cs files? Tell me, what did I say? Don't touch them now. Don't touch those particular files, guys. Don't touch the files. Those files are specially for Visual Studio to perform all its work now. As a developer, you should never touch the designer.cs files. For us, what file? .cs. Visual Studio will never write code in .cs and you never write code in designer.cs. Are the standards clear? So we'll be working only with two things now. What are they? Design view, code view. We will never go to designer.cs. If I take you to designer.cs, is only to describe the code, that's all. Are you clear? I will not be writing any code there. I will only be describing the code. Alright, this is what it writes. Watch it out. Just to show you, I'll take you to the file. Otherwise, I won't touch the designer.cs file. And second important point, do we have separate main method for each form here? What did I say? How many main methods? A project can have single entry point. Yeah, multiple entry points cannot be defined in a project. Every project should have only a single entry point. And what is your entry point? Program class. From here only execution starts. This is a single entry point. And in that you find a main method and look at the last line of code there. What is that? I already explained you this code to you by writing the code in the notepad yesterday. Application.run, new. By default, what you'll find? Form 1. Form 1 runs. Now, yesterday we added a new form also in the project. Just like we add a class, we added a form. What is the form? Form 2. So when I run this, by default, what is running? Form 1 runs. Yeah. What is running? See? Form 1. To understand here, you can find the title. I want to run form 2. I wanted to run form 2. If you want to run form 2, what you do? New form 2. You just go for writing new form 2. Which batch? Excuse me. Which batch? Not .NET. New batch, huh? It's not a new batch. It's an existing batch. We don't have any new batch right now. It's at 11 o'clock. 22nd? That's at 11. Not 9 o'clock. 11:30. The class is at 11:30. This is an old batch. Started already 1.5 months back. Okay. So this is form 2. This is form 2. And just run the code. And you see now what's running. Is that clear? Yeah. These are the two, sorry, this is what. So we will not be setting any startup object here. We'll be changing the code here. But generally we had a doubt. What is the doubt? Actually, when you have multiple main methods, we need to set the startup object in the XML file. Will the end user change it every day? End user won't change. End user don't know how to change also. Source code is not also available with him. So now we have only single entry point here. Multiple entry points are not there. So end user doesn't require to set the startup object. But even the end user doesn't require to set the startup object. End user should specify the form name here. Yes or not? Now this is again confusing. How will the end user set the form name here? Tomorrow my project has 100 forms. You may want to run a different form. Will the end user come and specify the name of the form here? Are you doing that? So understand this concept initially. Initially will be changing here. By the end of the course, I'll show you. Without changing anything, you can run all the forms in the project. Right now, with 1 or 2 forms, it won't be clear. When you have more number of forms, that will be more apt for you to understand the concept. Okay? By end of the Windows programming, I will teach you how to run all the forms in the project without changing any code at all. Every form in the project will run. Understood or not? But initially, what you will do? Come here, specify the form name here, and run it. Okay? Yeah. Now, am I clear till now? All the things what I explained? Yes or not? Okay. Fine. Yeah. This is where we just stopped it, how to develop a GUI first coding in the notepad. Second one. Okay. First thing, explained you how to write the code in notepad. And then second, I explained you how to write the code in Studio. Okay. And if you remember, by default, the project comes with two files. What are the two? Form 1 and program. Two classes, form 1 and program. Okay, and program is a partial class. Don't forget, program is a partial class. You already saw that. It's a partial class. Public partial class, form 1 colon form. It's a partial class. Okay, so why is it partial? Because the code is implemented on one file or multiple files. It's implemented for you on multiple files. That's why it is defined as partial. And here, the class is present on two files here, and the two files are form1.cs, form1.designer.cs. One is form1.cs, guys, and the second one is form1.designer.cs. Okay. Next, if you read the note here, what is that? We will not find the form1.designer.cs file by default. Hey, last day I said, but the file is not visible to you by default. You're required to go to Solution Explorer, expand form1.cs, and under it, we will find form1.designer.cs file. Double click on it to open the file. Okay. Next, Windows applications developed under Visual Studio have two places to work with. There are two places that are present for you to work with now. What are the two places? The first one is called as Design View, and the second one is called as Code View. Design View and the Code View are the two places we'll be working with. So Design View is the place where we design the application. Design View is the place where we design the application, accessible to both to programmers and end users. Alright, tomorrow, what end user sees is Design View only. Tomorrow when I install the application, say, if I install an application on your machine, what you see is only Design View. Are you clear? What is the second one? Code View. What is Code View? Code View is the place where we write the business logic. Where we write business logic. A code for execution of application. In simple words, what we call? Business logic is what we call. It's called as business logic. And that is accessible only to developers. Remember that, guys. That is accessible only to developers. What do you mean by that? End user cannot access the business logic code. End user cannot access the business logic code. Business logic code is accessible only to the developer. You cannot expect an end user to watch the business logic code now. Okay. So that's the true important thing here. An end user cannot watch the business logic. What the end user can see is only the design view, but not the business logic at any point of time. Okay. And you see, I shown you this picture in the last class. The project came with two classes. One is program, one is form. Program is defined under program.cs, and form 1. Design View, Code View. Design View is form1.cs, Code View. Again, two files. Any more doubts? Are you clear? Because this architecture, what will be following from now onwards continuously, this will be the pattern how you will be using it throughout your classes. Means from today until the end of the course, we'll be working with GUI only. Okay, na? From today until the end of the course, we'll be working with the GUI. Might be one or two times I may be showing you CUI also, but maximum what I'll show is GUI. Windows. Everything is GUI. Okay. Actually, guys, the Visual Studio IDE, what we are using here, it has a name. What is it, We call the Visual Studio IDE as we call this particular Visual Studio IDE as WYSIWYG IDE. WYSIWYG. What is that WYSIWYG? Read it. What you see is what you get. What do you mean by that? Whatever you see, that is the same thing what the end user sees also. Means what I'm trying to tell you now, you are learning HTML. Are you learning HTML? If you're learning HTML, all of you remember in HTML, suppose you are just trying to, you've done this. What you have done? You have gone for creating a login page. You created a login page by placing any controls and all. If at all you want to see how it looks, you're required to open a browser, run the page and see the output. Correct or not? Yeah, I don't require to run here. I don't require to run here because I can see directly how it looks. When I run also, same output will come now. Did you understand my point or not? When I run also, same output will come. So that is the reason why what I'm telling is, we call this WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get when you run also. I hope you're clear. So if anyone asks you what is WYSIWYG, full form is what you see is what you get. Okay, that's what we just call as a WYSIWYG IDE. So Visual Studio is a WYSIWYG IDE. Okay, and the next thing what we are learning here is about the main, what is that program? The next thing is what we are learning is the program. What it has? Main method. Okay, under this you'll find the form1 class object getting created and executed. What you saw? Application.run. You'll be watching there, application.run. And this particular application.run method is actually responsible in running your code. Okay, and last day we saw this by writing in the notepad also, remember? Yes or not? The same thing I have written in a notepad and also shown to you in the previous class now. Okay, next, adding a new forms in the project. How do we add new forms in the project? And if at all you wanted to add a new form in the project, just what you'll do, open the add new item window. You know this. Open the add new item window. And when you open the add new item window, there earlier we added class, code files, interfaces, correct? In that only you'll find an option called Windows form. You'll find the option called as Windows form. Okay, what you'll add is a Windows form right now. And once you select a Windows form, automatically it is going to add in the bottom. It will show you the name here. The default name is form2. Leave the name. Don't change that. Or leave that name here. Okay. Just the name is going to be form2.cs. But if at all you want to run, what you require to do now, go to program class. And in the application.run method, you need to change the code. What's it? By default, what is present in application.run method? Form1. This is the code what is present there, right? Yes or not? Change that here. Change that to form2. That's all. Change that to form2. Application.run new form2. Will execute your code. Is everything clear? Okay. Now today we'll talk about this, guys. What's it? Every control, as I said to you in the last session, is associated with three things. What are the three things? Properties, methods, events. So every control is associated with properties, methods, and events. So what are properties? Attributes. Properties are nothing but attributes of a control. And these attributes are going to have an impact on the look of the control, guys. These attributes are going to have a look on the impact of the control. The properties are going to have an impact on the look of your controls, basically. So that's what we call as properties. Okay, second one, methods. Methods means actions. Methods are actions. Third one, events. And what is the events? I said you, event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. Event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. Okay, listen. Every control is associated with these properties, associated with the methods, and associated with the events. Every control, guys. Every control is associated with properties, methods, as well as events. In every control, these three are mandatory. These three are going to be very much common. What three? Properties, methods, and events. Okay. So now, to access these properties and methods and all these things here, just observe it. So this is my new form, what I added, form2. Now this form is also control. First control is form. Afterwards, we'll talk about buttons, text boxes and all. First form, because last class I said, without a form, you can't do anything. What do you require first? Form. So I added a form. So this particular form, you look at this code here. This is your form now. The form actually, it has some properties now. So many properties are there here. 30, 40 properties are there. And to watch these properties, to access these properties, go to design view select your control and hit F4. It launches you the property window on the other side. What's happening here? Yesterday also we faced this problem, not showing. "2020 became a big headache." Not loading. Not loading here. I'll open 2019. Because I said you that only. When I have 19 and 20, are you able to use, are you able to do, did you try that? Controls are visible in the toolbox. Getting for you? That's what I'm saying. I have 19 and 22. When 19 and 22 are present, this problem is coming, it seems. So better I'll open 19 here. You do in 22 only. You do in 22 only, you open core projects only. For you, no problem. Nothing changed, guys. Because there is no cross-platform support also available here. You do in the 19 also, no problem. You do in the 22 also, no problem. Okay. But just, I cannot, I'm not able to do in 22. So let me open 19. C#9. What's the project name? Windows project, right? Delete. Let me open Visual Studio. Yeah, 2019. 19 actually is a bit slow compared to 22. So I just hate using this, but we don't have an alternative. Create a new project. Process is same. Everything is same. Only thing is, you'll be working with 5.0. .NET 5 with C#9. C#10, anyhow, C#10 will not work. C#9. If you go for a framework project, it is only 7.3. If you open a framework project, it is only 7.3. I mean, C# 7.3. So whatever I show you, you try on 2022 only and you open core projects only. No worries. For you, no problem. You do it on the latest version. What I said, I hate using 2019. We're very slow here. 2022 is very faster and effective. 19 is very slow. That's why I don't prefer using opening 19 at all. It is the problem. Okay, load it. Choose desktop here. Yeah, Windows Forms app, .NET Framework, Windows Framework, core. This is core. And if it shows you framework, that is framework here. Otherwise, it is the latest core. Let's see this works or not. Windows project, our own folder. Click next. I'm selecting .NET 5. .NET 5 is out of support. Outdated. Let's go with Core 3.1. Actually, .NET Core support is only for 2 years. No, 18 months only. .NET 5 support is only for 18 months. When it was launched? November 10, 2020. Remember the dates? November 10, 2020. 18 months completed here. That's why it became out of support. But .NET 6 support for 3 years. Long-term support. That's what long-term support. If you say long-term support means minimum to minimum, they will give you 3 years of support. But coming to .NET framework, .NET framework doesn't have an end time. .NET framework doesn't have a end time. It's a long-term support. Long-term support, that is. There is no end time for that because Microsoft is not giving any latest updates to 4.8. The existing 4.8 will be supported by Microsoft. Are you clear? The existing 4.8 will be supported by Microsoft for you for a long time. So don't worry about it. Error occurred. Option is framework only. Okay. Let me see, is the property window getting launched or not? Yeah. That's what you did not see that here. There in the core, when I hit F4, the property window should come. The window came there, but data did not load. Can you see that? Property window. This property window will show you all the properties that are associated with your control. What it will show you? All the properties that are associated with your control. And what you can do now, you can change these property values according to your requirements. You can change these property values according to your requirements, basically. Okay, I'll just demonstrate it. Just a minute. Just a second. This is our first form. The architecture is same. Program class, executing. Form 1. Run F5 to run. Yeah, this is the form 1. And how do you add a new form in the project? Open the Solution Explorer. Right click on the project. Add new item. And here in the new item window, you'll be finding an option form. In the brackets, Windows form. The name is form2.cs. I'm not changing the name, just leave it. Come to program, change to form2. Now what runs? Form2 runs. Form2. Okay. Yeah, fine. So I made it same like our previous project, no? Now you have some properties associated with the control. How to access these properties? Select your control and tap F4. When you hit F4 on the right side, it will open you the property window. The property window gets launched for you on the right side. Okay. And you can see this. This is the property window. And this property window will show you each and every property that is associated with the control. All these are the properties. So many properties. Everything you can see here. Okay. And I'm not explaining about each and every property to you now. You want to understand, you'll become mad understanding all the properties. We'll talk important things. Remaining properties, when the situationally we'll talk about them. Okay. But as of now, some important properties, easy to understand, common for all, I'll tell you. First one, name. Name refers to the name of the control. You have 10 buttons on the screen now. Every button should have a unique identification now. Yes or not? So the name refers to the unique ID of the appropriate control. Okay. And using that name only, you need to refer to the control in the code. In your code, you want to refer to a button. You need to refer to the button by using the name of the button now. For every property guy, for every property, if you come down, you will see the description on the bottom. The name used in the code to identify the object. To identify this object is the name what is used in the code. Is that clear? And this name, see, form name should be unique in the project. Form name should be unique in the project. Control name should be unique in the form. Control name should be unique in the form. Form name should be unique in the project. Control name should be unique in the form. Is it clear what I said? Next. That's what I said to you. I'm not telling about all the properties. Back color. You know this. The background color. How to set it? When you select the property here, you'll find a drop down. Okay. Use this drop down. And here it will show you the list of colors that are available, and pick a color of your choice. I'm setting a color right now. I'm setting a color right now. Okay. And tomorrow, if at all you want to set any background image, you can use the background image. Click here. It opens a window. Select your resource. Select what? Local resource. Click on import button and select an image from your hard disk. On my computer E drive, I have a folder called images, and there I have a set of images. I'm selecting one image there. That is the image what I'm selecting. Okay. That's my background image. Is that clear? Background image layout. What is the background image layout? Actually, if you observe this, guys, the image size here is smaller than the size of the form. Because the image size is smaller, right now it is using a layout called the tile layout. All of you carefully observe. The image started at this point, right? And the image ended it here. And what about the rest? The rest is one more copy, tiles. We call it the tiles layout. On your desktop also we can set it. If your image has multiple, see, you fix tiles in your home now. The same pattern of tiles fixed side by side. That is only happening there. Actually, that is another image what is coming there. These are two separate images. This is one image. This is another image. That's called tiles layout. Okay, you can change this according to your requirement. What is that? The background image layout. The default value is a tile. It's a enumerated property. Remember enumerated properties? Properties with a list of values to choose from, right? So this is also enumerated property. See there? You have different options here. Okay, let me change. None. See, you noticed it? Afterwards, blank. Okay. Second option, tile. You saw it already. Center. That is the center. Next, stretch. This is the correct option to use. Means it will fit to the size of your screen. It will fit to the size of the screen. It will stretch now and fit to the size of the screen. And also we have an option called zoom. That's a zooming and zoom out. That's all. Nothing to do with this. Zoom cannot be used basically. Only these options here. Either tile or center or stretch or none. Okay. Stretch is the correct pattern to use based on your requirement. Just telling you that's all. That is layout. Next. See, you'll have foreground color of it. What is that? Text color. Forecolor refers to the text color. Font. What is the font you just wanted to use? The current font is Seged UI 9 pixels. If you click on this, the font dialog will come now and you can change the font. And remember, the size of your form depends on the size of the font. The size of the form depends on the size of the font. If you change the font size, form size will automatically change. Are you clear? I'll show you. Hold on. We'll just talk on that. Okay. And then you have border style. Different border styles are there. Enumerated property. none, fixed single, fixed 3D, fixed dialog, sizable, fixed tool window, sizable tool window. Like this, we just have different options. Based on the selection, the look of your form will change. Based on those selections, the look of your form will change actually. Right now it is sizable. Sizable means in the runtime I can expand or decrease the size. In the runtime, sizable means, what is sizable? You know, in the runtime, run the form once. I can increase, I can decrease the size now. That is called as sizable. You have an option called as fixed. What is fixed single? We have an option called fixed single. In the runtime, I cannot drag it. See, arrow mark is not coming. See, when I put my mouse. Earlier, when I put my mouse, arrow mark came there. Now the arrow mark is not coming. That is called as fixed. Depending on the requirements, we'll be using different ways, different options there. Okay. Same way, we just have an option called fixed 3D. You need to watch it from the near, guys. The image is very dark. You have a 3D. Width, height, depth also means you'll find it grooving around basically. Okay, you need to watch it from the near. You change this and just look on your machines. Fixed dialog. The fixed dialog means actually nothing here. This fixed single, fixed dialog are one and the same. Only the icon difference, like a fixed single. You see here you have an icon. Yes or not? We have an option called fixed dialog. That icon got removed, that's all. Both are same other way. This is also fixed. You can't expand the size. Sizable. Already I said you sizable. Default is sizable only. Fixed tool window. Just watch it. Fixed tool window. When I say fixed tool window, immediately here, the buttons are removed off. What buttons? Minimize, maximize buttons are removed. What we have is only close button. Okay. Again, this is fixed. You cannot. Same way we have sizable tool window. Sizable tool window is we can drag the size in the runtime. Okay. So what is the need of them? I'll show you guys. We'll talk about all these things when the situation comes. But now I'm using what? Sizable, the default value. So any property you can manipulate here. Any property you can manipulate here. See there, minimize box. We have a minimize option now. True. If I make it false, minimize box won't be there. Same way we have maximize box. If I say false, maximize button won't, maximize option won't be there. Right now we have all the three. Are you clear? All these things gets removed off. If I just remove this one. Show icon. True. Yeah. Showing an icon here, see? If I make it false. Can I change it? Yeah, you can change. How to change? There'll be an icon property. You can change by using that icon property. Somewhere you'll find that icon. You can change the icon now. Just like I set a background image, you can set an icon now. Okay? That icon property. Next, size. See the size? 674, 608. Actually, what is that? That is not a fixed size here. I'm dragging it now. Earlier I dragged it. Whatever I size, that size will come now. But the size depends on the font size. Watch it, all of you. All of you, just carefully observe. I'm just going to set some size. Go to font. The font is 9 pixels now. I'm increasing the font size to 20 pixels. Notice that form size expands automatically. So basically, if at all you want to set a size for the form now, my suggestion for you all is, generally, if you set the size first and afterwards set the font, size will change up. Be careful. First set the font. Afterwards, set the size. Don't reverse this two. What? Don't set size first, font next. First you set a size here. I want the size as 400 by 400. You set the size. Now you went and changed the font now. That will affect the size now. So that's what I'm telling you. First set what? Font. Out of the font is set. Now set your size. I want to size it as 400, 400. What's it? Python. It's not Python class. Ask the admin outside. I'm setting the size as 400, 400, where 400 is the width and 400 is the height, size. Did you understand? If you expand this here, it will show you clearly width and height. Without writing 2 times, you can put a comma separated list of values. Okay. So just a text. What is the text? Caption. Caption. Form 2. You want to change it? Change it here. Clearer? Huh? Still many properties are there here. I'm just giving an idea of the basic properties you have. Many properties are present here. We will talk about them when the situation comes. As of now, what I said is only simple things. Width, like size property, background color, background image, color, font. That is what is shown you, that's all. But other properties, I'll cover you later. Are you clear with how to deal with the properties of the control? Yes or not? But now, sir, you'll have a doubt. Sir, what happens when I change the properties in the property window? When you change the properties in the property window, Visual Studio will be writing all the code that is required for it. Visual Studio will write all the code that is required for it. Where it writes all this code in designer.cs file. It writes all this code in the designer.cs file. In the designer.cs file, all the code will be written. How it writes? Let me show you practically. First, we'll write manually, then we'll watch the Visual Studio. First, let us write manually. Okay? How? Come on, let's come to the developer command prompt. Yesterday, you created form1.cs, right? Form1.cs. Yeah, this is the code you have written in the last class. I want to set some properties to my form now. I want to set some properties to the form. I can set it like this. You created instance now. F dot. Okay, you can just do all the things right now. Whatever you want to set, you can do. Just a minute. By default, you look at this. Do you have any text? No text now. F dot. What is the property name? All are present in that class now. Is equals to form1. Got it? Okay. I want to set background color for this. F dot back color is equals to system dot drawing is a separate namespace. In that namespace, there is a structure called color. In this structure, all colors are available. All colors are available. I'm setting the color as pink. System dot drawing dot color dot pink. The screen is light, but you can just see. Let's set a pink color over there. Okay. So now I want to set a size for this also. I want to set a size. F dot width is equals to 400. I want to set a height. F dot height is equals to 400. Are you clearer? I can do all the settings like this. This code, what I showed you now, in Visual Studio, we are not writing the code. We are going to write, we are going to do everything in the property window. When you are writing this in the property window, Studio will write up the code for me now. Did you catch my point or not? Who will write the code? Studio will write the code now. Okay? But the problem in the code what I written is, all of you carefully observe. Is my class public? Yes or not? Can I create the instance of this class wherever I want? Can do now? Now see, I'm opening another file here. Just have a look. All of you concentrate on this. This is another class here. This is another class. Test form. The class name is test form. In this, I'm writing a main method. Now here, can I create the can I write application dot run? And can I say new form 1 and run or not? That is the same thing what program class is doing, recollect. Yes or not? Otherwise, I'll name it as, tomorrow in program class, I'm creating the instance of form 1. Now, when I run this, form 1 will launch, correct? Come on, yaar. Form 1 launches. Now, my question is, will it launch with its default settings or will it launch with all the settings I made? That is the question. Form 1 will launch here. Will it launch with the default settings? What are the default settings? It has a default background color. It has a default size. All that settings will apply here, or the settings what I implemented will apply. Past, new settings are older, louder, old settings. Why old settings? Because where did you write the code? You written the code under main method. Yes or not? Associated to an instance. And all of you learned in object-oriented programming. Every instance is unique. If you make any settings for one instance, that won't reflect to second instance now. Am I right? This is a separate instance and this is you set it for this instance. That won't come here now. Are you clearer or not? That won't come here. So that's why these settings won't apply when I create a new instance. And second reason is, where did you write the code? Your main method. When will the main method of a class execute? When you run that class. But see, here which class I will run? Then program class main method only will execute. But form 1 class main method won't execute now. Are you clearer or not? Form 1 class main method will not execute now. That is the problem. So the place where we written the code is wrong. If you write like this, the code executes only when you run this form only. Tomorrow, if I try to use this form in other projects or other places, the changes won't apply. But once I design a form, the changes should apply whenever I use the form, correct or not? Tell me, you designed a login form. From whenever you call the login form, the changes should apply now. But that doesn't apply right now. So this is a wrong way to write the code. Then how to write the code? Okay, I'll tell you how to write the code so that the changes will apply every time. So this is wrong way of writing the code. Okay, leave it. This is the old one. This is clear up to here now. Okay, leave this. Let us not bother about this. Let's not touch this once. Let's leave it as it is. Yeah, back to the original. Okay, now how to write the code, I'll explain you with a new example. Let me create a new form. Form2.cs. Let's create a new form. Form2.cs. Okay, watch. Let's import the required namespaces. What I want, system. Second one, I want drawing also, guys, for setting the color. And I want system dot, Windows dot. Remember all the three now? Okay, now public class. What is the class name? Form2, colon, form, colon, form. Just a second. Static void main. And simply what you can write, application dot run. Run what? New form2. This is the original form. This will run as it is now. No, this will show you the same output like form 1. CSC form2.cs. Form2. Okay, now you want to do some settings to this. Okay, now? So where to write that code, carefully observe. You need to write the code in constructor here. You should not write the code in the main method. Where you should write the code? Constructor. Why in the constructor? That's what we learned. Initialization code is always present in the constructor. So tomorrow, whoever creates the instance, constructor gets called and the logic will be executed. Even you create 10 instances of the form2, the changes gets applied to all the 10. Did you understand my point or not? The previous code is wrong. How to write the code? Come to constructor and write your code in the constructor. Here write down what? This dot text is equals to form2. What is this dot? Current class only, na? You are setting for current class only. Array, non-static to non-static direct access, na? You don't even require to say this dot. That's only to make it meaningful. To make it meaningful. Text is a member of the class inherited from the parent. Inherited from the parent. I can directly refer to that because non-static to non-static is a direct access. We already learned. When you want to call from static instance is required. Non-static to non-static direct access only now. So, but still, tomorrow someone looks at the text. Where is this text? Without confusion, we say this dot, or otherwise, both are same. No issue. Okay, but generally, what you say? This dot text. Dot text equals to. Okay, next. This dot back color. Color dot pink. This dot we are set width and height now. Without that, at a time you can set size is equals to new size of. You can pass the size value here. Some 500, 500. At a time you can do. And the code is in the constructor now. Whenever you create the instance, are you calling the constructor or not? So when the control jumps here, all changes will apply to the instance now. Okay. So save it. Got it? Yes or not? So tomorrow, guys, listen. Tomorrow, I'm adding a new thing here, program class here. Here also I'll say new form 2. Will it open with the original settings or the new settings? Original settings or new settings? New settings here. Where did you write the code? Constructor now. So now you're creating an instance. Call goes to constructor. When the call goes to constructor, automatically all the settings will be applied for you there. Understood? You created the instance in 10 different places now. All the 10 times the form opens in the same way because the code is implemented in constructor. Is it clear? Can I write this code in a method without writing this code in a constructor? Can I write this code in a method? Yeah, you can write in a method also. But if you write in a method, you need to call the method again. Constructor calling is mandatory. Now, instance creation will call constructor. But if you write in a method, the method should be called again. Are you following my point? Okay. So guys, observe it. Suppose I'm writing a method like this. Private void, some method here. I'll name the method as initialize component. That is my method name. And I'm putting all this particular code inside the method. I'm shifting this code to my method. This code, remove it here, put it in the method. Now, because it is in the method, until and unless the method is called, the code won't execute now. Correct? Observe it, save it, come back, recompile, re-execute. Settings are not applied. Why? The code is in a method. So method should be called now. Can I call this method directly in my constructor? Can I call the method directly in a constructor? Don't again be confused with instance creation, non-static to non-static, direct call again and again. I don't require to tell you that. To be clear. Are you clear? This dot, initialize component. Writing that this dot is mandatory or optional? Even I don't write also, no problem. Initialize component. See now, whenever the instance is created, control jumps to constructor. Constructor calls. And now the initialize component method will execute the things to you. Okay. So save it and observe it. All the changes are applied. Okay. So now you'll be confused. Why did I write like this? Why did I change? Why did I write like this multiple times? I'll tell you. Whatever I explained you, as it is, Studio has written the code for you guys. Everything, methods, everything, all names are also same now. Studio has written all the code. Where it writes the code? Louder. Designer.cs. Okay. Now tell me, as a developer, constructor is important for you or not? Come on, tell me. This code should be in the constructor. Actually, this code should be in the constructor. Studio writes code where? Designer.cs. So if that is the case, constructor should be in the designer.cs file. Follow me carefully. Where you should write this code? Constructor. So who writes this? Studio. If Studio is writing, constructor should be in the .cs or designer.cs. Designer.cs. But if constructor goes to designer.cs, tomorrow if you want to work with the constructor, you need to go to designer.cs file now. But what did I say? Array, don't edit designer.cs. That is not for you. Am I correct or not? So constructor, if it is in designer.cs file, you cannot use now. So where you are expecting CS file or designer.cs file? CS file. If it is CS file, I can modify. But if the constructor is in CS file, all the designer code should be in the CS file now. Array, if the constructor is in the CS file, all the designer code also should be in the CS file. Without that conflict, what is it doing, Listen, it is writing this method in designer.cs file and calling that method in CS. Actually, here I put everything in a single file. But when you come to Studio and watch it, this code will be present on separate files to you. Watch, view code. See there, you have a constructor, check it out. Constructor is calling a method. Which method? Where is initialize component? Same class only it is present, but in a different file. Correct? How do you go there? How do you go to designer.cs? Solution Explorer. Expand form 2, you'll find it now. Another way to go. Right click on initialize component and say go to definition. Go to, it will take you to the designer.cs file. Watch out. Are you clear? And here all the code is present in initialize component. Check it out. That only now I explained you. Right? I said 3 properties. Here I said multiple properties, but all the property settings are done. See, back color, background image, layout, sizes, font, all settings are done here. See, is that clearer or not? Where is that? Initialize component. Initialize component. Finally, the initialize component method is called for you here. Why? Because if I write this in the constructor, CS file code will become lengthy. Correct or not? So if I don't want to make it lengthy, constructor should go to designer.cs. If constructor go to designer.cs tomorrow, you cannot work with the constructor, but constructor is very important for us as a developer. Correct? That is why constructor is present in the CS file. Without putting all the lengthy code here, it has put under a method and it is calling the method to you. See guys, whatever is shown in the notepad is the same thing you're seeing in the studio also. But what is the difference, In the studio, how many methods are there here? Look at the code and tell me, how many methods are there? 3. Constructor is also method only, na? 1 constructor method, 1 initialize component method, 1 main method. All are present in 1 class, na? Easy to understand. But in the studio, these 3 are present on 3 separate files. Did you understand or not? In the studio, these 3 are present on 3 separate files. Where is constructor? form2.cs. Where is initialize component? form2.designer.cs. Where is main method? program.cs. Are you clear or not? Means the code has been split into multiple files. Confusing, right? It will be confusing. This one, beautiful, easy to understand. Am I correct? But going forward, you will cry in this architecture. Going forward, if you write code like this, you will really start crying. Why This designer code, initialize component, thousands of lines of code will be there. Again, another thousands of lines of business logic, all in 1 file. You won't understand what code is generated by Studio and what code is written by a developer. Everything in 1 single file. But even though what I'm showing in the Studio, even though a little bit confusing, but going forward here, you will really love that architecture. You will really fall in love with that architecture. The reason, all designer code in 1 file, all business logic in 1 file. So thousands and thousands of lines of code, designer is in a separate file. Thousands and thousands of business logic in a separate file. You have a clear clarity now. What code is written by Studio and what code is written by developer. Are you clear? Actually, guys, when we built applications, when I started my career initially, 1.1 framework is available in the market. No partial classes. No partial classes. We used to develop a desktop application for a US healthcare market. US healthcare market. Every screen here, every screen used to have 100, 200 controls on it. That much of big screens. Every screen, 100 to 200 lines, controls used to be there. For every control, minimum 10 lines of code Visual Studio will generate. Minimum. Not maximum, minimum 10 lines. Means 200 controls are there, means how much code? 2000 lines of code. Okay, all the code is present in the constructor. Next, in the same class, we used to start writing the business logic. The business logic also again in the same class. Really, end of the day, we used to face a lot of trouble understanding studio coda, my coda. If I write, I know. I written all the things here. I left the job. You came now. You came into my place now. So you don't know anything now. What code did the developer write? What code did the studio write? There is no clarity. Clarity is missing now. We used to struggle a lot with this GUI design in the 1.0 and 1.1 frameworks. At that time, 2.0 came. Partial classes are introduced. And automatically, the Windows architecture was shifted to partial classes and said that, array, don't worry, from now onwards, I'll put all the studio code in a separate file and I'm giving you a blank class for you to write all the code. But just the only thing it will tell you is, you use your class, but just give me one line space for calling a method. What is that? Initialize component. This initialize component is in the designer. Under that, all the 1000 lines of code is present. Now you understand, writing all the 1000 lines of code here is easy, yeah? Or writing one line of code is easy to understand for us now. One line. If you want to see that code, right click on this and simply say go to definition. It will take you there and it will show you all the code for you in a separate file. Now the architecture is simple and easy or not? Yes or not? I said you, initially guys, when you start, this looks very beautiful. Everything in one file. Okay, we'll understand. But Studio, what is it doing? It is writing constructor in one file, initialize component in one file, and main method in one file. A little bit confusing initially, but that is the beautiful architecture. Separation. Are you clear? 10 lines, 20 lines code there, single files are okay. Yaar. Thousands of lines of code present. Then we have single files that will be conflicting us and we cannot easily understand what is happening. That is why they just uses the concept of the partial classes here. Did you understand the real need of the partial class now? Yes or not? See guys, if the method is not called, look at this. All the code is written in the method and the method is called in the constructor. Correct? When I run this, yeah, the form is opening with all the settings what I done. And now see guys, I'll comment this method. I'll comment this. If you comment this, no settings now. If there are no settings, what will happen? Default settings will apply. And this is the default setting of your form, guys. No title, no background color, nothing. This is how it opens. Are you clearer or not? So all that code is present under this method. Which method? Initialize component. Just call it. Understood all of you? So now, did you understand what happens when I just change a property in my property window? Can you answer? What happens when I change a controls property in the property window? When you change controls property in the property window, Visual Studio will be writing all the code, all the required code for that modification, all the code for the modification. Where it writes? Designer.cs under method name, tell me. Initialize component. It writes all the code in the designer.cs file in a method called initialize component. Finally, that initialize component method is called from the constructor which is present in the .cs file. It clarifies you? Yes or not? Without directly showing you, that's why I'm writing manual code and showing you. What is shown in the notepad only present here also. But there everything is in one single file, but here it is in multiple files. 3 files. The 3 things are in 3 files. Where is constructor? Come on, where is constructor? .cs file. Where is initialize component? Designer.cs file. Where is main method? Program.cs file. So what runs first? Program.cs. Instance is created. Control jumps to constructor. Constructor calls initialize component. Immediately, the form is going to be loaded for you with all the settings now. Now, users can start their interactions now. Okay, na? Fine. This is all about properties and how to deal with the properties. I shown you automated code. I shown you manual coding also. What next? Methods. The next thing is methods here. Talking about the methods, we cannot call these. You know method here. I don't require to tell you the day when you started programming, you called a method called write line. Methods are something which you need to call while writing the logic. Methods are something which you need to call while writing the logic. Okay. Still, we did not start writing any logic. Then what are we writing? We are writing only designer code. What we are writing is only designer code. We still did not start writing any logic. On the click of the button, something should happen. We did not do that. So when we start writing the logic, I will tell you about methods. I don't require to tell you anything about the method. Yeah, you know how to call a method. Object dot method. That's all. You need to know what methods are there. Call them. Okay. We'll talk about these methods when I'm implementing the logic. Hold on. Now let's come to the third one. What is the third one? Events. So what's an event? An event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. Are you getting my point or not? An event is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. You go to an ATM. You put your card, enter the PIN number, the menu opened. After the menu opened, you're required to click on some button there or touch something there to start a transaction now. Yes or not? Without you touching, because you came there, will it automatically send you money out? No, nah. You need to tell what you want. So it will provide you all the buttons or something to you. When you click on them or when you touch them, the actions are implicitly performed to you. Are you following me? Okay. See guys, the difference between a console application and Windows application is here. What's it? What's an event? It is a time period which tells when an action has to be performed. Okay, now coming back, what is an action? Again you forget. If I say from one way, you will forget from another way. What is the method? Then what is an action means? Why you put blank space again? Action means method, na? Action means method. Okay? Now you understand. Action means what? Method. Action performed means method calling. Are you clearer? When an action has to be performed, that is when a method has to be called. Don't forget. What is that? Action is a method and a method is a action. Both are same only. Okay? When an action has to be performed, that is when a method has to be called. In console application, how did you call methods? We defined all the methods, went to main, created instance of the class and called the methods. Okay? You have 3 methods in your class now or 10 methods in your class now. And as a developer, you call the methods and now you give it the code to end user. End user will run the code. Correct or not? When end user runs the code, the methods will be executed in the sequence I called. Am I right? Right, 10 methods are there here. I called 1, 2, 3, 4. I called all the methods. When end user runs the application, all the methods will execute in the sequence I called. Can the end user change it? Can the end user change it? No. Why? It doesn't have a code. I'm giving application. When I run the application, as it is, it runs there. Okay. In that, one method should be executed for 3 times. As a developer, I call for 3 times. Executes. But tomorrow, the end user wants the method to be called for 5 times. Can the end user change it? Nothing is in the control of the end user now. Are you clear? But Windows programming is beautiful, guys. What do you know? We define methods. And we bind the methods with events. We define methods. We bind the methods with events. We don't call them. We don't call them. We bind it with the events. The end user decides which method should execute when. Did you catch my point or not? Who decides? End user decides which method should execute when. I have 8 methods now. The 8 methods are bound with the 8 buttons on my ATM now. Are you clear? Which method will execute first? Which button you click first, that method will execute. And now the control is in the hands of the end user developer. But in console apps, developer decides, yeah, developer calls, that will execute. But now developer is not deciding. Developer is only leaving to end user. End user can decide. What will the developer do? Developer will bind the methods with events. Events are part of controls. How to do, I'll show you. Events are part of controls. Button control has an event called click. Button control has an event called click. For this click event, I'll bind one method now. When the user clicks on the button, the method will execute. How many times? How many times you click, that many times. You want to withdraw 1 lakh rupees from your account now. But at a time, you can withdraw only 20,000 now. Yes or not? So now you're required to hit the withdraw button for 5 times. Correct? 5 times? 5 times the money comes. Means who is deciding that? Developer. Who is deciding that? Did you understand the beauty of GUI programming? The control is in the hands of end user. See, if developer calls, all you can call in the sequence, but end user calls, end user is calling the 8th method first, afterwards coming to 7th method, then he's going to 2nd method, then he comes to 3rd method, 1st method, okay, 6th method. He can randomly call whatever he want now, because the control is in the hands of end user. You remember your ATM? We defined methods on that. Remember, deposit, funds transfer, like this. That method calls will be under the click of the buttons now. The method call will be under the click of the button. Under the click of the button, we will call the method that is defined in the customer class. When you call that method in the click of the button, automatically the logic gets executed for you behind the screen. All are interlinked. We learned how to define classes. Now we are learning GUI programming. Now we need to link all these things together. So button clicks, call the methods. When you call the methods, the logic executes behind the screen. So that is the beauty of the GUI programming. We basically call this concept as a event delegation model. What is that? Event delegation model. Are you clearer? So that's what here. Now the question is, how to bind the methods with events? Every control has events here. So many events, just like so many properties are there, so many events are also there. You can see the events also in the property window only. You can see the events also in the property window. Watch. What are you seeing now? Properties, correct? Here you have an icon like a thunderstorm. Put your mouse on that. And what is this? By default, you're seeing the properties. Click on that, will show you the events. See, not one event or 2 events. How many are there? So many events are there. Each event will fire in a different scenario. You know this, all of you. The well-known event to all of you. Click. When will this event fire, you know? When you click on the component. Now here, suppose here, if I type a method name, that method will execute whenever you click on that now. That is the method name here. That is the method name. We did not write how to do that. I'll show you. I'm just giving an example. Now you click on that, that method gets called. Which method? Test method, and executes the logic for you automatically. Understood or any confusion? Are you clear? So that's a simple process. What you have? Define all your methods. Come here. Bind it here. Once you bind it here, the clicks of the things will go for calling you. Not only like click here. See, I want a method to execute when my mouse is over. See, there is an event called mouse over. See. I want a method to execute when the mouse is pulled back. Mouse leave. Mouse up, mouse down. What is that? And the mouse buttons you click now. When you click, see, when you click on that, menu opens. When you release something, all these are mouse up, mouse down. These are the events what we have. Mouse click, mouse, double click of the mouse, something should happen. When you double click on anything, the folder opens, see? That is what? That is the double click event code now. So when you double click, the folder gets open to you. Like this, variety of events are given to you. You can call your functions under these particular events. So what we require to learn right now is how to call the methods by using the events without calling by creating a object. From now onwards, we won't call by creating objects. we will call by events. Is it clearer or not? Understood my point, all of you? I'll show you that in the next class. But guys, in this, we'll use the delegates also. We'll deal with the delegates also. Delegates also will come. Delegates are used for calling the methods by the events. See, you know, method can be called in two ways. One, you create an object and call or class name. Second option, delegate. But what did they say? I'm not going to create an object and call now. I'm going to call through the event. I said, you know, delegates will come into action to invoke the methods for you. Okay. I'll tell you how all these three are connected with each other. What three? Methods, delegates, events. We'll learn tomorrow in detail about the events.